is, folks. That is Dizzy Gillespie's famous Latin expression called Tin Deo. For those of you that don't know, Dizzy Gillespie was not only a great composer, he was a spectacular trumpet player, and most importantly, one of the founding fathers of the bebop movement in jazz. And he actually became the face of that new wave. He had his signature turned-up trumpet, those blown-out cheeks, and that soul patch and beret, which really defined the jazzer look, especially for white people. You know, that was sort of the stereotype. And Dizzy Gillespie was the living manifestation of that, but no less a great composer. Tin Deo was, well, I hope you could hear it, I don't know. But it lived he was very interested, was Dizzy in Afro-Cuban jazz. So we have A Night in Tunisia, Tin Deo, and others to be sure. So that was my little offering as I try and keep the licorice alive on my clarinet. You're welcome to check out my one album on iTunes called First Point. It's there, and it's a snapshot in time of where I was some years back. But here I am now, and that was me wheeling and dealing with Tin Deo, Dizzy Gillespie's famous tune. Welcome back. Where are we? This is episode number 12 on Rebel Without Applause, and here I am, that lonely, abstract, and brief chronicler of this cockeyed caravan called life. I'm just a merchant of mirth, and once again, I'm coming to you from the cozy confines of my movie studio apartment. Because I made a movie here in my studio apartment, and I will be, once again, exploring the backwaters of my brain, and maybe, just maybe, I can shed a little light into yours. So what's going on this September 13th, Thursday the 13th? I don't know if that's bad luck or not. This much is going on. Hurricane Florence is coming. It's bearing down on the Carolina coast. But this time, thank God, the PVP is ready. He's stocked up on paper towels. And I don't mean any kind of paper towels. I mean the super-duper extra absorbent kind. Truckloads of Bounty are on the White House lawn ready to be deployed because, and they take comfort from this despite the book, by Omarosa, the book by Woodward, and soon the book by Stormy. The PVP this time has learned his lesson, because this time it's not Puerto Rico, which is just a little old island filled with dark people. No, Hurricane Florence is poised to strike a blow into the heart of the WPL. That's white people land. It's ready to unleash its watery wrath into the eastern flank of the old Confederacy. It's bearing down on Republican white people with beach houses and golf courses and private yachts. So this time, the hurricane is fucking real. So the PVP, rest assured, will be there with paper towels in hand, ready, willing, and able to get the job done. So take comfort, my friends, in the East Coast. I often wonder, is when these hurricanes come as they do at the tail end of summer, the harbingers of fall, is this Mother Nature's way of revenge? Is this some sort of divine retribution? Maybe that's just what happens when stubborn real-world events like hurricanes get in the way of what we want to believe, like global warming is a hoax. So best of luck to everybody there in the WPL, hoping it doesn't wreak too much havoc, but take comfort. There's a lot of paper towels waiting to be deployed. What else? The Philosopher King is back. Like a white knight in black skin, the preacher-in-chief, the Brother O, is back in the house. He's smooth as ever, breaking it down, giving it up straight with no chaser, selling that hope like it's Ivory fucking Soap. Yeah, Obama back. And I guess it's good because, frankly, I did miss the man. But let me say this, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers of my liberal friends, and I frankly, I do hate to say this, but honesty is my mantra. Obama was a fucking nightmare. If you're a comedian. For the country, I thought he was pretty darn good. I mean, for 8 years, it was like, please say something stupid, screw an intern, take a bribe, but he never did. That guy was like Sidney Poitier and Jackie Robinson rolled into one person, never a false move. He walked that tightrope like a flying Wallenda with all the haters looking up, waiting for him to slip, stumble, and fall to his death. But nope. Brother O never did, not once. For 8 years, and I do hate to mix metaphors, the Brother O pitched a perfect game. But the billionaire brat boy, oh my God. The PvP, he delivers a care package at my door every goddamn day. I mean, I cannot keep up. It's like, I don't know, it's like having a subscription to the New Yorker. I'm always behind. And the truth is, and I'm sure I'm not alone, but I am spending way too much time hating this billionaire brat boy. I'm obsessing. He's consuming my consciousness. He's like taking up all my brain space like I'm a fully metastasized cancer. I need to step back. I need a break. I need to pull the Rachel Maddow IV out of my forearm and take a nap, a frigging break. And by the way, I want to say this. I do love Rachel. She's like my favorite lesbian on earth. God bless her. I have so much respect for lesbians. I mean, what is it? 2 menstrual cycles per month, per relationship. I mean, you talk about courage. You talk about commitment. God damn it. There is a reason the L comes first in LGBTQ. They fucking earned it. Anyway, away from Rachel, who I adore, back to the PvP. I'm thinking maybe I should try a new coping strategy. Maybe I should appropriate the teachings of Jesus, the writings of Tolstoy, and the example of Ghandi. I need to find a way to love he who would do us so much harm. Can I do that? Can I walk even a yard in his oversized, highly polished shoes? Surely the racism he spouts was something he was taught. The narcissism and ego, the bombast and imbecility, the total lack of empathy are symptoms of the abused child. I'd bet everything he was a friendless little boy who was humiliated, browbeaten, and bullied mercilessly by his father and probably castrated by his mother, who probably took his little boy penis and tucked it away in a shoebox somewhere in the family attic, like that rosebud sled in Citizen Kane, waiting to be found at the last moment. The giant epiphany waiting for the audience. He was castrated as a young boy. Yeah, maybe I should find a way to look into this tormented, shattered soul and carve out the compassion with myself to see that little brat boy child that lurks within. Can I do that? Nah, fuck it. Better to hate the son of a bitch. Or better yet, vote in the midterm. So, what's up? Another big shot bites the dust. Les Moonves, the numero uno big dog at CBS, walked the plank and disappeared like a rock into the dark depths, gone, soon to be forgotten. One more casualty of the Me Too movement, which, I don't know, begs the question, are we now in Salem? Is this the French Revolution revisited? Are all the free swinging big dick big shots taking the long walk to the guillotine? I had a discussion with my friend Adrian about this, and specifically about where Les Moonves is on the Me Too bad boy spectrum. Is he like closer to Al Franken? Is he somewhere in the murky middle with like Louis C.K., or is he hanging with Harvey in the extreme zone? And my friend, he definitely felt that he's like a next door neighbor to Harvey. So we'll see how this plays out. For myself, I wonder, is this witch hunting or is it justice? It's a question worth asking. My feeling, and mind you, it's just a feeling, it's probably justice mixed in with a little righteous revenge, but I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Either way, let me say this. Me Too is nothing new. From the dawn of time Chiefs had their harems, king their courtesans, plantation owners their concubines, CEOs their secretaries, and movie moguls their starlets. I'm not defending that behavior, but I think we might, as a society, have to face the inconvenient truth that if you take away the sexual prerogatives of the rich, the powerful, and the famous, you undermine the motivational basis for our whole plantation capitalist, big daddy, polyamorous system. I mean, why do you think these assholes, the Moonves and the Weinsteins of the world, are working so hard? They're chasing the American wet dream, the Hefner promise, which they might as well print on the dollar bill. I mean, and that promise is if you play by your own rules, steamroll over everybody in your way, if you lie, if you cheat, if you bully, you too can have all the porn stars you're willing to pay for, unless, of course, that porn star is Stormy Daniels. Then that's another story. Stormy Daniels. I do love that girl. I admire her courage, her honesty, and her movies. I got to say that. Holy shit. Oh, my God. I got to give it up to the girl in more ways than just her performance, because I'm going to say this. She wears that little porn star Scarlet letter like a badge of honor. It's like she's saying, yeah, so what? I screw for money. Millions of you have watched me doing things you can only dream about. You love me in the dark and hate me in the light. But guess what? I'm not a liar. My word matters. To me, that's guts. I'll say it again. I love Stormy Daniels. All of which brings to mind my movie recommendation of the week. And that is what I believe to be the greatest movie about those predators who roam the executive suite. And if you don't know already, I recommend you see it immediately. It's more timely than ever. It's a work of cinematic poetry. It is indeed an American masterpiece. And that's Billy Wilder's The Apartment. And I have to say, it's on my shortest list for favorite film of all time. I like to watch it at least once a year, but no more, because it's like a fine wine. I don't want to just overuse that movie. It's especially useful if I need to feel inspired. It stars Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, Fred McMurray, and here's a sort of trivial aside, Ray, my favorite Martian, Walston. And I guess to describe the movie, it's nominally a comedy, but what it does, unlike so many comedies, nominal comedies, is that it manages to walk the razor's edge of psychological destruction and tragedy. When Fran Kubelik, the elevator girl, yes, that's Shirley MacLaine, she works at a monstrous insurance company in Manhattan, and Jack Lemmon is he works there too in this huge room, doing actuary tables with an adding machine. And what he ends up doing is trading the use of his apartment for wily, sneaky executives who are having affairs, and that allows him to climb the impossibly slippery corporate ladder. It's old school American corporation, Mad Men style, men in suits with bowler hats while the ladies run elevators, the switchboards, and are secretaries to their horny bosses. Anyway, Miss Kubelik is, over the course of the narrative, actually, she's trying to recover from this affair with Sheldrake, played by Fred McMurray, the head of the company, and ultimately, Sheldrake uses not Jack Nicholson's. He wouldn't be using Jack Nicholson's apartment. Two different guys. Jack Lemmon's apartment. He gets that key and uses it as a safe house to conduct his illicit affair with Miss Kubelik. Anyway, when the truth of this deception finally becomes clear to Miss Kubelik, she is so distraught and overcome with despair that she tries to end her life. And it's only when Jack Lemmon ultimately has the guts to stand up to this kind of feudal tyranny of Sheldrake, who has fast-tracked him up the corporate ladder, in exchange for the use of this apartment. When he refuses the apartment and throws the executive bathroom key in Sheldrake's face, then and only then can he win the love of the lovely Miss Kubelik. And if you haven't seen it, get it. And if you have it, see it again. It's one of my favorites of all time. I used to see Shirley MacLaine hanging around Malibu, and I always used to call her, "Hello, Miss Kubelik. Hello, Miss Kubelik." And then I would indicate with my finger like I was pressing the button of the elevator, just like she did. And a wistful smile came over her little face. So, yeah, check out The Apartment, and it does feel more relevant, more truthful than ever. And I think it's probably the only movie that really gets into this sort of sexual harassment, predator business universe that, we're experiencing right now. This week I also had the opportunity to revisit Peter Fonda's, which he directed. Yes, that's Jane's brother, Henry's son. Peter Fonda's Easy Rider, which, that came out in 1969. And The Apartment came out in 1960, which, by the way, it won Best Picture. And I found it very interesting to see how far the culture had shifted, between the release of these two movies. The Apartment definitely has the feeling of rebellion underneath. It screams out against the conformity and corporate corruption that ruled the 1950s. But by the time Easy Rider comes out, that veil of respectability is off. There is a full-fledged generational revolt going on. The world that had been bequeathed to Fonda and Hopper was a totally different one than the one inherited by Jack Lemmon in The Apartment. I don't know, it's an interesting comparison. It's not really rather Easy Rider. I don't consider it a great movie in the way that The Apartment was, but it was indeed a cultural touchstone, a time capsule piece for sure, with some great rock and roll tracks keeping the movie alive as those boys motor east across the great American West. They're sort of on Route 66 in reverse. And I think Easy Rider, there had been some sort of subversive sort of movies out there, but Easy Rider was really the first mainstream mega hit that reached out and celebrated the hippie culture, and it really let people know that times were changing in Hollywood, which basically had been by and large a company town that was washed clean of any so-called subversives during the fun-filled McCarthyite 50s. Remember the blacklists and those sort of things. But Easy Rider, it blew that door wide open, and it showed the sort of commercial possibilities to the studios of exploiting, this sea change in our culture. On the surface, Easy Rider was a cool motorcycle road movie. It was a love letter to that life untethered. And so as it begins, these two guys close a drug deal with this rich drug dealer played by, you'll never guess this. This is another piece of casting trivia about Easy Rider. These guys, Fonda and Dennis Hopper, conclude a drug deal with this rich dealer or consumer, I'm not sure which. And he was played by none other than Phil Spector. Yep. I don't think he has any lines. He's just sitting in the back of a limo, but you see him quite clearly. And he's the same Phil Spector who was the music producer that offered up the solid wall of sound. The same Phil Spector who was convicted of second-degree murder and who's now spending the rest of his life behind the solid walls of a state prison hospital in Stockton, California. Anyway, Easy Rider. After these two guys close that drug deal with Spector, these guys buy choppers and begin their odyssey east across America, ostensibly to hit Mardi Gras, New Orleans. But what they're really on, in my mind, is a voyage of discovery, no less intrepid than those Apollo astronauts that were flying around the world and going to the moon at the same time. But they were looking for something even more mysterious, more difficult, more intangible, as it were, and they were looking for an alternative way to live, how to fully embrace this American ideal of freedom. Their idea of freedom, it didn't mean putting on a suit and climbing the corporate ladder in exchange for a corner office like Jack Lemmon in The Apartment. Their idea of freedom was something different. I don't know. You had Dennis Hopper's long hair flowing out from his Aussie Outback hat, and Peter Fonda with that American flag stamped on his helmet and emblazoned on the back of his leather jacket. Those guys were viewed as counterculture outlaws. They were the straight people that saw them looked at them like fucked up hippies, outside agitators. They were apes, part of some Mongol race, and ultimately, at the end of the story, I shouldn't be giving anything away, but some redneck Ku Kluxers murdered them for it. And it's funny, what struck me when I saw the movie again is that today, if you have long hair and ride a chopper and got American flags emblazoned all across your motorcycle and self, in all likelihood, you're probably some alt-right goofball Trumpy dude. So it's like the costumes. The people don't change, but the costumes do, you know? So, yeah, it's an exploration of freedom. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to do. For me, what is freedom? I don't know. The freedom ideal is always sort of in flux. Yesterday, my idea of freedom was my board on my car, gas in my tank, and a south swell raking Malibu, where the energy from a distant Antarctic storm was offering up magic carpet rides of joy. So I took my little taste earlier in the week. For the easy riders, I think, yeah, freedom meant hitting the road, getting high, using chemicals to loosen the ties that bind, and maybe, just maybe, with the help of those chemicals, they could find another more essential reality. Looking back, I don't know, the movie feels, to me, a little naive, perhaps a little clunky, but at the same time, when it was released, Easy Rider, and I do recall this, went off like an atomic bomb in the popular zeitgeist. For the youth culture, it was must-see cinema. It highlighted chasms in our culture that have been there like since forever. You know, you had the Confederates versus abolitionists, Ku Kluxers versus anybody not white or Protestant, hips versus squares, surfers versus everybody else. And now we have the Trumpty-Dumpty deplorables versus all of us coastal media elites who loved Anthony Bourdain. Yeah, the names are different, but the fault lines are definitely the same. And finally, sad note, rest in peace, Burt Reynolds, who he just migrated to the other side. He made a lot of dumb movies, made boatloads of money. Some of them, I remember those Smokey and the Bandit comes to mind. The Longest Yard and Semi-Tough, two very good movies. But in my view, when I think back on Burt's movie career, he made one really great movie, and that was his own journey into the heart of the southern rural darkness, and that movie was Deliverance. Directed by John Borman in 1971 with John Voight and Ned Beatty, who are still with us. So if you get a chance, yeah, give it up for Burt. Go see it. Okay, I think that about wraps this up. I want to thank you for enduring what is my version of microphone therapy. I do fully admit that my need to express outweighs anybody's desire to see me, so thank you for checking in. If you want to get the vibe, come on, subscribe. If you like, please write a kind review on iTunes. You can throw me some stars. And until next time, I bid you adieu, adieu, adieu.